Good evening. This is the Deep Dive TV. You know, my granddaddy and my grandauntie who raised me always said, listen, when no dead, no dash away. And you know, sometimes you feel like so exasperated and you feel so like disconnected from the process when you see certain things happen and you feel like the people who are in the wrong, people who are in the wrong are the loudest and you feel like they're winning. But, you know, one no dead, no dash away, as my grandparents, my grand old people used to say. One of them not dash away. And the darkest, sometimes the darkest part of the night is just before dawn. I want to play something for you tonight in the deep dive. But before we get into that, please like our channel. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe to our channel. We need your subscription. We need to get the word out. We are asking you, if you consume this content, please, we're asking you, give us a comment, give us a like. You don't even have to agree with us. We appreciate whatever you have to say as long as it's constructive. Constructive criticism is great. It helps us to be better. And as we build out this brand, I want to thank you for those of you who have already placed your confidence in us and have subscribe to this channel and have been following us, commenting, sharing our videos. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I want to share for you something that I heard, and I was particularly buoyed by it, because you know, in our country, Jamaica, it's poor people putting it on police. I want to speak to you tonight in a raw, bond, colloquial pattern. Yeah, a poor people putting it on police at Jamaica. Rich people putting it out on police. And so all the police officers would die in the service to their nation because we don't have wars. You know, we don't have wars and external enemies who fighting us for us, or military to lose their lives. So the military officers would lose their lives also helping the police to bring order and sanity to our country. And we salute those members of the JDF who sacrifice their lives for our nation. And as I think about it, I want to just pay my respects to a couple of my squad mates as an ex-member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the very first batch to commence training at the Jamaica Police Academy, and the very first batch to commence and complete training at the Jamaica Police Academy. That's a matter of historical record, and I am very proud of it. But I want to pay homage to some of my fallen colleagues, Mr. Seavright, Mr. Cowan, Mr. Steele, and so many others who paid the ultimate price. We are going to start to make a change in our country. We are going to ask the party that's in power to help us, to celebrate, to remember. And what are we going to ask here? And I'm going to lobby this Prime Minister because I believe you're going to win a third term, Mr. Andrew Holness. I believe you're going to win a third term because I believe that your work has given you that. You're entitled to it. I think you have earned it. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to ask you, instead of putting politicians' names on roads and bridges, let us put the names of people who really, really serve our country, our fallen police officers. Let's put their names on whether it's roads or buildings or whatever. Let's give them that. They've earned it. You know, if you come to Kingston, the Norman Manley Airport, you drive on you come to the Norman Manley Airport, you drive on the Norman Manley Highway, you go up to the University of the West Indies, so the Norman Manley Law School there, they're heading a Manley Performing Arts Center there. Everything is about the Manleys in Jamaica. We need to stop. We need to have, and that's just a little part of it. We need to have the names of our fallen police officers who have served and made the ultimate price, given the ultimate sacrifice to country. We need to have their names on these buildings and on these roads, Mr. Prime Minister. The PNP is never going to go along with it. because what they're trying to do is continue to build generational cult, a cult of generational people to make it seem, to make it appear that our country is theirs. Our country does not belong to them. And they started that by saying that the Jamaica is PNP country. Jamaica is not PNP country. Jamaica is not PNP country. Jamaica is a country belonging to Jamaican people. Okay? And they're lucky and they should feel obligated to be a part of our country and to be able to compete for elective office in our country. They act like thugs and criminals, and some of them are. They're running criminals to sit in our parliament, but that's a different conversation. I'll have that conversation in another iteration of deep dive. But I want to play this for you because, as I said earlier when I started this conversation, um, when I started this conversation, I'm sorry about that. When I started this conversation, I said that poor people pitting it on police. Poor people pitting and make the sacrifices. And let me just say this right now. There are a lot of people out there. A lot of them live in the diaspora. A lot of them live in Jamaica. A lot of village lawyers who have all kinds of ideas and want to tell police how to do their jobs when they don't know how to do theirs, if they do have one. Because most of those, I think, are people living off the state, off of taxpayers, like the police officers. But they're going around now with cameras and pretending like they know the law and obstructing police. So we need thank the Prime Minister and the administration for the passage of the bill that is now saying if you commit capital murder, you're going to do 50 years. Yes. And if you commit non-capital murder, you're going to do 30 years. Thank you to this administration. I've been lobbying for this for the past 15 years. Now, what we need to attach to that is mandatory minimum sentences, taken out of the hands of the leftist judges. We need these laws to be taken out of the hand of leftist judges. But the next most critical piece of legislation that I'm going to continue to lobby for is for those people who would hinder and obstruct police officers in the lawful execution of their duties. Yes, that needs to be made a felony, punishable not by a fine, but by imprisonment of up to 3 years. We need to send a very strong message that when a police officer is doing his duty, all you have to do if a police officer is arresting you is to submit to the arrest. Yeah? Chances are I call your lawyer, you're going to be out within hours if you even enter a cell. The officer will take you to a jail, you call your lawyer, and you'll be out. And you fight the matter in court. That's how you deal with it. You don't fight the officer on the side of the road and bring your friends and incite. And what we need is for those women in particular who are inciting violence against our police officers while they're executing their duties, we need that to become a felony. Throw their asses in jail and throw the key away. We need order in our country. We cannot continue to run our country this way. And the PNP, that is a criminal organization that supports the criminal Jamaican for Justice, the foreign-funded subversive element in our society, and Mark Golding, the foreign-born insurgent reactionary. Thank you, lady. And thank you, sir, in the background, yelling, we 1000% stand with our police officers. Thank you, Prime Minister Holding, as well. Thank you, Prime Minister, for standing with our police officers. Listen, we have a problem in our country. The country is dealing with transnational criminals. And there is this thing that's happening, and I don't know if a lot of people are recognizing what's going on. People are pushing the limits of what they can do lawfully in our country. And there are people in Jamaica who are sending home guns. Whole lot of people sending home guns. We need greater collaboration between United States law enforcement and local law enforcement. And we need people with knowledge. The government has to do a better job. This government has done a tremendous job in doing some repair work. Let's put it this way. I want to be very clear. In doing some repair work to the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It's far from over. It's far from That job is far from complete. But we do have some people in our country who, some of them live abroad and they continue to send weapons in. We need greater collaboration between the United States and our local law enforcement to, to find these vermins, yeah, and put them where they belong. Because there is this proclivity on the part of a lot of people to want to make Jamaica into a criminal paradise, a place where they can just do anything. You know, I'll take you back to a little bit of history. Before Fidel Castro came to power, Cuba was a place where La Costa Nostra, the mafia, did all their dirty work. It was the mafia's playground. Yeah? And Castro saw what was happening. And he put a stop to it. Now, whether you like Fidel Castro and his brother Raul, is neither here or there. They took possession of their country and stopped it. They nationalized everything. And you can argue about the success of that. But when you want to talk about that success, remember that the United States has kept its boot heels on the neck of the Cuban people because they dared to take their future into their own hands. Jamaica is going through a metamorphosis at this moment. And there are elements in our society that are hell bent on destroying our country. They don't care about anything. They want to drive the way they want to drive on the streets. They want to bring in the guns. They want to kill as many as they want. They want to unalive as many people as they want. And nobody should stop them. And the so-called Jamaicans for Justice is an integral part of that. You know, I had somebody brought something to my attention, matter of fact. And I was not stunned. I was not surprised. Because it made perfect sense. And I'll tell you what it was. I heard that Bert Samuels, an attorney, and his sister, who come from over by Glen Drive, knew Bert Samuels when he was a young attorney, and his sister, when I was a young detective at Constant Spring CIB. We knew Bert Samuels was a comrade, a PNP activist, period. But I heard that he was standing with JFJ out there against the police officers. And I saw something in one of the Jamaica daily papers where Bert Samuels supposedly said that police are committing different kinds of acts because some of his clients told him that police officers who are wearing masks are doing it to conceal their identity while they commit crimes. Bert Samuels, you are a fucking liar. You're a liar. Now, wait a minute. What happened to attorney-client privilege? You said your clients told you that, Bert. Where are you? Where is the attorney-client privilege? Where is the etiquette? Where's your legal etiquette? Are you supposed to divulge what your clients tell you? No, you're not, but you did for political purposes. And that discredits you. That makes you irrelevant, Bert Samuels. Makes you irrelevant. And you call yourself a constitutional scholar. Nah, you're just a common partisan, bro. You're a common partisan, and I don't know how any police officer in his right mind could believe it in a partisan, hyper partisan like you. You stand with Jamaicans for justice, which means you stand against Jamaica. But you're a comrade, Bert Samuels. You're a comrade. And comrades stand against Jamaica. You have a good propaganda game going, but you stand against Jamaica. It's just like your colleague, Isaac Buchanan. Yeah, they bent the system to make Isaac Buchanan to cleanse Isaac Buchanan's record. And for those of you Jamaicans who are watching this right now, go to mikebeckles.com and just type into the search, Isaac Buchanan's case is not about redemption. Type that in and you will see an article I wrote years ago detailing how Isaac Buchanan, a convicted criminal in Jamaica, convicted and sentenced, managed to get a clean police record and go to the United States after he was convicted in Jamaica of drug dealing. Let's talk about that. And he's running for a seat in the parliament on the side of the PNP in East Portland, trying to unseat one of the Vazes. I don't remember if it's his wife, if Daryl or his wife. Yeah? I think it's his wife. Isaac Buchanan, the system was bent for Isaac Buchanan. And Isaac Buchanan, this son, a big youth, you know. Yeah? Manley Buchanan. I want to teach you a little bit of history because some of the things say, you take people for fool. But because a big youth son, let's get down to the dirt now, because a big youth son cleanse him record. And he got foreign. And when he come to the United States, when he arrived in the United States, he come here with the same drug dealing. But this is the United States, and he was busted in the United States and given a 10-year prison sentence. He did 7. Yeah? Because this is not Jamaica. Yeah, corruption, they rule it. He did 7 years and was deported. Now, let me tell you, I'm all for redemption. I am all for second chances. But you know what my problem is? He has never admitted to what he did. He had never admitted to what he did. So he went back to Jamaica, did his undergrad work, and was admitted to the Norman Manley Law School. Finished his Juris Doctorate, graduated, and they bent the rules again. The General Legal Counsel bent the rule for Isaac Buchanan again. Go to mikebeckles.com. The full article is there. Jamaican people, if you think I lie, me I tell. Because them PNP scumrage that take people for fool. Go to mikebeckles.com and check out the article. There's a search bar. Type into that search bar. Isaac Buchanan's case is not about redemption. And the article will pop up. Read it and read verbatim the General Legal Counsel, GLC, what their argument was for allowing Isaac Buchanan to be called to the bar. And so, in other words, we have a twice convicted felon cleansed and sanitized and allowed to become a lawyer. But hey, dish towel is still dish towel, is never tablecloth. Yeah? You can wash it all you want, but dish towel, tablecloth, a tablecloth. And when he came, he went and, after he graduated from law school, and now him daddy intellectual ghetto, before we go any further, him daddy intellectual ghetto as a tenured professor. Get the hell out of here. Yeah? But cartel lecture they to do it. Yeah, cartel and all kind of people lecture there. Carolyn Cooper had them up, all kind of people up there lecture, right? Yeah. Carolyn Cooper had all kind of people at the intellectual. Mutty Perkins was right. They are subversives. Mutty was right. That's why he called it the intellectual ghetto. Now, I want you to contextualize what I'm saying to you. Because these are the people who are leaders in our country on the PNP side. Criminals, sanitized criminals, cleaned up criminals. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And they all come from the same dirty pool, Morty Perkins called the intellectual ghetto. This is why, even though we want to separate ourselves from the British monarchy, I am still so burdened by the thought that the Jamaica Court of Appeals, with Brian Sykes at the head of the judiciary, or the Caribbean Court of Justice, could become the final arbiters of our issues. Because all of them come from the same filthy, dirty pool. And then can pick up the phone and call them one another to affect the outcome of a case. They can call the law lords in London. But at some point in time, we have to take responsibility for our own actions. And I would prefer to lean on the side of going republic, and then we fix that problem with the Caribbean Court of Appeals, Caribbean Court of Justice, or the Jamaica Court of Appeals. Yeah. So the first thing that Isaac Buchanan did was to berate in the most derogatory way possible the Director of Public Prosecution, Miss Paula Llewellyn. Not a big fan of Paula Llewellyn. I don't give a rat's behind about Paula Llewellyn. But I care about the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And for a convicted, a multifaceted, multi-time, multi-offense drug dealer, cleaned up drug dealer. Yeah? To make those kinds of comments about the Director of the Prosecutions, the Director of Public Prosecutions. It's astounding. I'm not going to say anything else, but hey, it is what it is. This is where we are as a society. Then he went and called, the police them dunce. And when the senior superintendent, Wayne Cameron, jumped on his ass as the head of the Police Officers Association, not the Federation. Him say, oh no, in respect, police never said that. So my students at the intellectual ghetto was police, and some of him teachers were police, and him love police. Lie. You're a bitch ass dude. You're not a man because you couldn't stand up and say, yes, I said it. What? What? When I say something, I stand up and say, yeah, I said it. I said it. I said it. No what? No, you didn't do that, Isaac Buchanan. You back down like a little biatch. Because here's the thing. You could never, ever, ever become a police officer, as Wayne Cameron said. But you can, and you are a lawyer, which places your profession beneath the police officers, because the police officers have to have pristine character. Until they get caught doing something wrong, they get kicked out. And might I add, the police department is the only department, the only public sector workers, private sector workers that cleanses itself. So for those of you who are anti-police and look to jump on the anti-police bandwagon, tell me what your feel of work is. And tell me, how do you cleanse and remove people with imperfect character in your profession? I left the Jamaica Constabulary Force many, many years ago. I only did 10 years. I left the force at the rank of Detective Corporal. And I was proud to serve. It was an honor for me to serve. I didn't leave with any bad blood, but I simply dropped everything and walked the hell away. Because you know what? I realized that the sacrifice I was making wasn't worth it, was not. So I decided to look out for me. I walked away. And so I salute the men and women who, for whatever reason, decide to serve. You're my heroes. You are my heroes. And I salute you. This has been the deep dive. Folks, if you need more of this content, if you like the content, please engage. Tell us how you feel about the content. Please give us a like and please share the videos. We really, really, really appreciate it. This has been the Deep Dive TV. Thank you.